Hello everyone, this is an American English Academy video. Today we're going to be looking at questions with do, does, and did. I'm Kenneth Varela, and remember that you could always find us at our webpage, YouTube channel, and Facebook. This is part 2 of a lesson about questions. Today we're going to be looking at questions that start with these three auxiliary verbs: do, does, and did. So now we're going to be talking about yes or no questions, which are also called close-ended questions. All right. So the first thing is that we always start our yes or no questions with the auxiliary verb. In this case, we have two different auxiliary verbs. One of them is do, which goes along with I, you, we, and they as pronouns, and does, which will go along with he, she, and it as pronouns. They are the third person, right? And that is what makes a difference. And remember that right after the subject, we have the main verb. Okay, and remember that the main verb has to be in basic form. Now, for the past, we use the auxiliary verb did. Right after did, we can use any of the pronouns that we have. I, you, he, she, it, we, they, and then the verb in its basic form. Remember that those verbs, they need to be in their basic form because we're using an auxiliary verb. Here I have some examples. Do you know a lot about California? Does Governor Davis still give many speeches? Did this explanation help you? As you can see, every example starts with an auxiliary verb that corresponds to the subject. But besides that, we also have the subject and the verb, right? So if you follow this formula, you're going to be fine. You're going to be able to build up perfect questions in the present and in the past. Now, we're going to be looking at open-ended questions or WH word questions. Okay, they are also called information questions. And they mostly begin with a WH word. We're going to compare yes and no questions and information questions. So here start with the first example. Do you read every day? This is a yes or no question and requires a yes or no answer. And in this case, the answer says, yes, I do. And now we introduce a WH word question or information question, starting with the WH word because all of the information questions start with a WH word. In this case, we have the word what, but we can bring other examples as the word when, where, which, who, how, which is not a WH word, but it also applies. So it says, what do you read every day? This question requires more explanation, and the answer is a novel, a new novel. So there's some steps in order to construct a question that requires some information in the answer. First of all, we need the WH word, then we need the auxiliary verb, then we need the subject, and finally the verb. So the steps are the following: WH word, auxiliary verb, main verb, and then the rest of the sentence. Okay, if you follow these steps, you're going to be fine. Just remember WH word, auxiliary verb, subject, main verb, and the rest of the sentence. Now you could also try to remember what we call the Apple rule. in which we state each part of the question in a particular order, starting with WH word, auxiliary verb, subject, main verb. Okay, and just remember, the main verb has to be in its basic form. There's some exceptions to this rule, and the exceptions only apply to the word who and what when they are the subject of the sentence. We're going to be looking at subject questions in another video. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you back again in another American English Academy video.